COVID-19 has forced us out of our comfort zones, causing us to view both our immediate and global surroundings with new and different perspectives. The standards to which we conform, the usual, the typical, and the expected can no longer be defined en masse. The world is not like what it was a year and a half ago. As we see the devastating impact COVID 19 has had on education, economies, politics, and social issues, to name a few, in the daily news cycle. Irrespective of how any of these issues affect us personally, we cannot ignore that our lives has been changed and we may no longer be able to predict normal. Therefore, in order to define and embrace a new normal for ourselves and those we care for, our mindsets must change. If we do not possess one already, shifting to a growth mindset will be necessary as we build our daily routines, social opportunities, and career aspirations, and syempre, etc. While the term new normal may be confusing, it is to me a growth mindset, holding true positive human values and working together through future adversity will enable us to no longer stagnate and to no longer accept normal because we will forever strive to learn from our experiences and be better. In this video, we are going to talk about the growth mindset and how we can use it in the new normal. But before that, I would like you to take a piece of paper or anything that you can write your answers to, and let's find out what mindset do you have. So I want you to read the following statements and decide whether you mostly agree with it or disagree with it. All right? So if you have a piece of paper, a pen, or any instrument that you can use to write and record your answer, that would be good. If not, you can pause this video and then get yourself something to write on and then go back and play the video again. All right. So the first statement is that your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. Number two is you can learn new things, but you can't really change how intelligent you are. Number three is no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. And number four, you can always substantially change how intelligent you are. Alright, so I want you to take a moment to think about your answers. Or, again, you can pause this video and then answer the questions or write down your answers. Alright, so there is actually a part two to this quiz or scale, whichever you want to call this. And again, what you have to do is to read each statement and decide whether you mostly agree with it or disagree with it. Consider the first group of statements as part one, and then this is part two. All right, so the first statement is that you are a certain kind of person, and there is not much that can be done to really change that. Number two is that no matter what kind of person you are, you can always change quite substantially. Or rather, you can always change substantially. Number three is that you can do things differently, but the important parts of who you are can't really be changed. And number four is you can always change basic things about the kind of person you are. All right, again, I want you to take a moment to answer these items. You can either pause this video or you can move along. All right, so now that you have answered both sets of or both parts of the quiz, let's find out what mindset do you have. All right, so part one talks about your mindset when it comes to intelligence, or Carol Dweck, the one who constructed this scale, calls it the intelligence mindset. And questions one and 2 are fixed mindset questions. If you don't understand what fixed mindset is, don't worry. We're going to talk about it later on in this video. Questions 3 and 4 reflect the growth mindset. And if you agree most to questions 3 and 4, it might reflect that you have a growth mindset when it comes to intelligence. And if you agree more with questions 1 and 2, then you probably have a fixed mindset when it comes to intelligence. All right, so the next part talks about personality, meaning this is your mindset when it comes to, or when you are thinking about personality. And questions 1 and 3 are fixed mindset questions, meaning if you agree most with these items, you probably reflect or have a fixed mindset when it comes to personality. And questions 2 and 4 also reflect, or rather reflect, growth mindset, meaning if you agree more with questions 2 and 4, you probably have a growth mindset when it comes to personality. All right, so consider that from the shape of your skull to the size of your foot, your body's physical characteristics are more or less entirely predetermined from the start. Of course, you can get plastic surgery or break a bone, but we human beings generally have, or rather generally have very little control over our body's features. But what about intellectual and physical abilities, like playing basketball, drawing, or solving math problems? Are they hereditary or learned? Today, most scientists agree that if you want to become a concert violinist, you not only have to have musical disposition, but also must decide or dedicate years of your life practicing. Still, there are as many answers to these questions as there are people, for our mindset plays a crucial role in how we see ourselves and others. Simply put, our mindsets shape our beliefs in accomplishing something. These two extremes form the basis for the concept of a fixed versus a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe they are born naturally gifted at doing some things but utterly incapable of others. Whereas people with a growth mindset believes they can become virtuosos of anything if they try hard enough. So the people in the latter group continue growing throughout their lives, acquiring new skills without reservation and actively engaging in their relationships. For them, life in all its facets is a constant state of change. By contrast, people with a fixed mindset often let their black and white way of thinking obstruct their development. If they fail at something, they bury their heads in the sand or blame others. They hope for everlasting love in their relationships rather than working on their relationships themselves. Now, our mindset shapes whether we believe we can learn and change and grow or not. So, people with a fixed mindset believe that talent is king. In their view, a person's ability are set in stone from the get-go. A person is by nature either intelligent and talented or stupid and incompetent, and will say, or rather will stay that way forever. Also, fixed mindset, or rather growth mindset, can be compared to fixed mindset in a number of things. First, in the way they believe in things or their beliefs. Persons with a fixed mindset tend to believe that people are not in control of their abilities, and that skills are born. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset tend to believe that people are in control of their abilities and that skills are built. Uh, Furthermore, people with a fixed mindset tend to focus on their performance. They want, or rather, they want to look good. They don't want to look bad, and they almost always focus on their outcomes. On the other hand, persons with a growth mindset tend to focus on the process of getting better. You can also differentiate a fixed mindset over a growth mindset on a couple of things when it comes to effort, challenges, rejection, and feedback. Now, people with a fixed mindset tend to view effort as unnecessary or not useful. On the other hand, persons with a growth mindset believes that in order for you to grow, you need to put in effort to it. Meaning, they think that effort is necessary for growth. Um, People with a fixed mindset also back down and avoid challenges because they frame these things as threat to their beliefs about themselves. On the other hand, persons with a growth mindset tend to embrace and persevere, or rather embrace failure and persevere despite this. They frame they frame challenges as opportunities rather than threat to what they believe they are. Also, persons with a fixed mindset tend to hate failures. They get discouraged and avoid them because they cause discomfort. On the other hand, persons with a growth mindset use them or use failure to learn and treat them as opportunities. I'm not saying persons with a growth mindset loves to fail, but rather persons with a growth mindset tend to believe that failures is an important part of success, and that there are so many things that can be learned through failure. Lastly, when it comes to feedback, persons with a fixed mindset tend to get defensive and take them personally. On the other hand, persons with a fixed, or rather a growth mindset, tend to appreciate and use feedbacks to grow and develop their crafts. Now, people with a fixed mindset think that employees or students who are not perfect from day one will never be so. And so it's best just to let them go or let them drop out of school. Moreover, people with a fixed mindset believe they can only do things they show a natural aptitude for, and that practice certainly does not make perfect. Since they are quick to judge themselves and others as being good or bad at something, they assume others are judging them all the time too. And so they feel very defensive around other people. And they think that other people are judging them, so they might not really have a lasting or a meaningful relationship with other people. Thus, they feel the need to show how talented and smart they are every chance they get. So they believe their entire personality is at stake. One slip could be enough to brand them as incompetent fools for life. They constantly seek approval from others to protect their egos and confirm that they really are as great as they think they are. An individual's ability are set in stone in the fixed mindset. When children with a growth mindset are given a difficult math problems to solve at school, they jump to the challenge and want to do more problems just like that at home. They recognize that the more problems they solve, the more they will learn. The sky is the limit when it comes to life's possibilities for people with a growth mindset. It's hard to define their precise degree of intelligence today, let alone predict what it may become tomorrow. Sure, their grades reflect their status at one moment in time, but these kids believe they can learn more with hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Moreover, they are not interested in getting the highest grades or being better than other students. They want to feel the satisfaction of pushing themselves to the limits of their growth potential. Whether music or sports, writing or drawing, they practice relentlessly and are quite aware that it is only through practice and the occasional failure that they can improve their skills. People with a growth mindset relish any opportunity to learn tricks from the creme de la creme in the field, or the cream of the crop. They reconsider and discard strategies used in the past and are always thinking about how they can eradicate their faults and weaknesses. In their relationships, they encourage their partners to continue learning and working on themselves. When they play sports, they play knowing they are serving the team. When they run a business, they show their employees respect, are grateful for their work, and ask for their honest opinion on things. However inconvenient the truth may be. People with a growth mindset welcome problems and see them as challenges, not unsurmountable obstacles. They willingly put their energy into bettering themselves and the world around them. Growth and development are possible for, or rather, are possible in the growth mindset. Failure has a dramatic repercussion for people with a fixed mindset. Take the golfer Sergio Garcia. When he was having a bad streak, he fired one caddy after another in fits of rage. Once he even blamed his shoes, whereupon he took them off and threw them in an innocent bystander out of frustration. People with a fixed mindset do not believe they can learn from their mistakes. They see a single failure as evidence that they will be losers forever. One defeat negates and devalues all past successes. In order to persevere or preserve whatever little self-confidence they have, people with a fixed mindset make excuses, cheat, or lose interest and look the other way. They do not seek help or analyze their weaknesses, and they certainly do not try to get better by practicing. They see themselves as finished products, not a continual process. Even basketball Hall of Famer Michael Jordan had periods in his career where when he did not dunk every ball he touched, he fluffled a good 26 potentially winning shots. However, rather than sticking his head in the sand, he practiced the shots he missed over and over again. By the end of his career, he had the best shooting technique of anybody on the court. Michael Jordan obviously had a growth mindset. Rather than finding faults in his teammates or the court's floor, he looked for ways to improve his own skills in the game. He analyzed his mistakes, practiced even harder than before, and took advice from other people. He firmly believed that he could transform his defeats into victories as long as he tried hard enough. The fixed mindset sees failures as disaster. The growth mindset sees them as opportunities. There are many things in life we can only achieve with effort. Yet when people with a fixed mindset are faced with a difficult situation, all they can see are risks, because the more time and energy they invest in something, the fewer excuses they have if they fall. Plus, they believe in the enormous power of natural talent. Gifted people should not need to try so hard. This way of thinking makes it impossible for people with a fixed mindset to better themselves without questioning their own abilities. And so they avoid difficult situations. They do not want to potentially make a fool of themselves. The violinist Nadia Salerno Sonnenberg exhibited this kind of behavior. At age 10, she was already critically acclaimed. By 18, she held her violin incorrectly and her fingers were stiff. Every time she tried to learn something new, she became so afraid of failing, she would stop bringing her violin to lessons and avoid playing altogether. The actor Christopher Reeve had such a mindset too. He would have, if or rather, if the actor Christopher Reeve had such a mindset, he would have remained completely paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life, just as the doctor predicted after his accident. However, he had a growth mindset. Rather than passively accepting fate, he took control of his situation. So he underwent a strenuous training program And then the impossible happened. Contrary to all diagnosis, he moved his hand, then his leg, and finally the entire upper body. Challenges give people with a growth mindset the opportunity to pursue purpose filled life actions. The more dejected they are, the more energy they put into fighting against and rewriting their fate. Like Reeve, they strive to make the impossible possible. People with a fixed mindset avoid difficulties. Those with a growth mindset, on the other hand, embrace them. So because of this, having a fixed mindset may leave people more vulnerable to developing mental health difficulties. So, what factor determined whether a person has a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? What factors determine whether a person realizes his potential or spend his life treading water? Mindset development begins at birth. Babies come into the world with a growth mindset. They want to learn and grow as much as possible each day. The adults in a child's environment, usually his parents, play a huge role in determining whether the child maintains this desire to grow or eventually adopt a fixed mindset. Simply put, parents set a mindset example for their children. Parents with a growth mindset encourage their children and urge them to continue learning, whereas those with a fixed mindset are always judging their children, telling them what is right or wrong, good or bad. Babies aged between 1 and 3 already behave accordingly. Growth mindset babies will try to help one another baby who is crying. Fixed mindset babies, by constant, or rather by contrast, are annoyed by it. Teachers are also very important role models and influence children's mindset. There are many teachers who believe that the student's performance is unchangeable. The good student will continue to do, and weaker students, or rather the good students, will continue to do well, and weaker students will continue getting C's or D's. Weaker students, from the perspective of fixed mindset teachers, will develop, or rather, weaker students because of this will develop a fixed mindset as a result. But good teachers, those who firmly believe their students are capable of learning anything, handle the situation differently. They show their students different ways of solving math problems or understanding Shakespeare or understanding psychological statistics. Their weaker students embrace a growth mindset and start getting better grades. They are no longer doomed to thinking of themselves as dumb by nature. Our mindset is not entirely predetermined. It can change as early as childhood when we adopt the mindsets as our role models. That is, our mindsets is often strongly influenced by the role model we had as children. Moreover, our growth mindsets are influenced by our experiences with success and failure, messages about failures by our parents and our teachers. Sometimes when teachers and parents try to protect their kids from failure versus allowing them to fail, they tend to develop a group, or rather, they tend to develop a fixed mindset in their kids. Moreover, the type of praise, whether you are being praised for your intelligence or for your effort, will also shape the way your mindset develops. Lastly, the choices that we make, sticking to versus going out of our comfort zone, will also influence the way we grow or the way we develop our mindsets. Consider that growth happens outside your comfort zones. So when you stick to your comfort zone, there is no growth, meaning you will remain the same, meaning you will have a fixed mindset for the rest of your life. So, nobody has to be a victim of her surroundings when developing her own mindset. the brain can be trained like any other muscle. If we want a growth mindset, we can teach ourselves to think that way one step at a time. Here's an example. You accidentally take two. Here's an example. You accidentally drop the plate on the floor. The first fixed thought you might be, I'm so clumsy. But people who are conscious of this reaction and want to change it can push themselves to adopt a growth mindset by thinking, oh well, these things happen, I'll clean it up and be more careful next time. Also, working towards a growth mindset presents a great opportunity to reach out to others for support, to talk about our faults and mistakes, and to make viable, concrete plans for achieving our goals. It is important to understand that a fixed mindset is not easy to kick. It's likely become an emotional crutch over the years. It protects us from failure, creates recognition in the eyes of our parents and partners, and boosts our self confidence. It comforts us time and again, so getting rid of it can be extremely discomforting. In truth, it is not necessary to give up, or it's not necessary to give up a fixed mindset altogether. As long as we adopt the growth perspective in certain situation, it's usually enough. Even if a person believes he is a lost cause, when it comes to sports, he could still be making leaps and bounds at work every day. Adopting a growth mindset in any field enables us to make the impossible possible. Remember Christopher Reeve, and to continue improving our talents and abilities, just like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. In this regard, the growth mindset is the key to self-fulfillment. Anyone can adapt a growth mindset and make the impossible possible. The key message is to talk of this talk is that people with a fixed mindset obstruct their own development through their beliefs in innate talent and their fear of failure. On the contrary, people with a growth mindset work hard and train hard to ultimately realize their potential to the fullest. By confronting our own attitudes and ideas, we can develop a growth mindset. So, here are some ways in which you can develop a growth mindset for yourself. Number one, acknowledge and accept imperfection. Number two, view challenges as opportunities. Number three, try different learning tactics, as growth mindset is not all about effort. Number four is to replace the word failing with the word learning. Number five is to stop seeking approval. This is probably, you might even say that this is something easier said than done. Then you are correct. These things are very difficult to unlearn because probably you have had a fixed mindset all your life, and that changing it might be difficult. But again, going out of your comfort zone, or rather growth happens when you go out of your comfort zone. So the next might be value the process over the end result. Number one, two, three, four, five, six, seven is celebrating growth with others. Number eight is to emphasize growth over speed. And lastly, to place effort before talent. So having a growth mindset is essential for success, especially now as we have all dived headfirst into navigating a new world. As Dweck described flawlessly, the passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it even or especially when it's not going well is the hallmark of growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in their lives. Having a growth mindset when navigating our new normal involves, amongst others, qualities understanding the taking appropriate risks sometimes lead to failure. It's how you define and bounce back from that failure that counts. This involves embracing challenges, learning from criticism, persisting in the face of setbacks, seeing effort as the path to mastery, and finding lessons and inspirations in the successes of others. So, as a parting word, or rather, as parting words, I would leave you with this. This is something that my mother used to tell me when I was younger. She would always tell me to try, to fall back, backtrack, or rather try, fail, backtrack, and start over again. She told me that that is how you work on something you want, and that is how you succeed in life. Again, my name is Dex Kamitan, and thank you for watching.